Okay, first thing you're going to do is start with an ActionScript 2.0. In layer 1, you're going to change that to background layer. And then you're going to get your rectangle tool, change your fill color to the red gradient, and then draw a rectangle to cover the stage. You'll create a second layer, name that second layer text, and in that text layer you'll use the text tool to type in, "This is my intro scene." And just so that we can make it last a little bit longer, let's insert a couple keyframes on frame 10. Once again, this will just make it last a little bit longer. Now, we need to start with our second scene. So in order to get to our second scene, we have to go to Window, Other Panels, Scene. Now, this says Scene 1 right now, and that doesn't really help us because it's not accurately descriptive of what we're doing. So double-click Scene 1 and type in Intro. That way, we know that this first scene is our intro scene, and you can also tell that because we typed it on the first scene. Okay, click on this little square with the left corner that looks like a folded up post-it note. It says Add Scene. Click on Add Scene. Now, this one's going to be our Choices scene. So double-click Scene 2 and type in Choices. Now, for this one, we want to follow the same procedure. Double-click Layer 1 and type in Background. But for this one, we're going to use the rectangle tool, but we're going to change it to a green gradient and cover up the stage like that. Now we're going to add another layer, and we're going to name this one Text. And in this text layer, we're going to type in, "This is my Choices scene." Except we're going to spell it right. Okay, so after you type in, "This is my Choices scene," we'll go back to, well, first let's do our keyframes. Let's insert a keyframe on frame 10 and insert a keyframe on frame 10. And again, all that's doing is making it last a little bit longer. Now, you can click back and forth between the intro and the choices to see the difference. So the intro scene is red and says, "This is my intro scene." The Choices scene is green and says, "This is my Choices scene." Now, our next step is we need to create buttons to make it work. But before you can create a button, you have to stop it from playing. You can't create a button to play unless you've already stopped it. So, we'll create a new layer and we'll name it Stop. And we will insert a keyframe on frame 10. Now, in frame 10, right-click and choose Actions. On the left side, you'll see Global Functions, Timeline Control. Make sure that this little magic wand looking thing is clicked down, or you're going to have extra options that you don't want. And just double click on Stop. And that's how we insert a stop action. So now we have three different layers. We have the background, which is the red gradient. We have the text, which is the "This is my intro" layer. And then we have the stop action. So finally, we're going to do a buttons layer. B-U-T-T-O-N-S, buttons. And in this buttons layer, just to make our life simple, we're going to get our text tool and type in "Go to Choices." And that way, we'll understand where this button is trying to take us. So, get your black selection tool, right-click on Go to Choices, choose Convert to Symbol, and then where it says Name, name it B as in button, _ choices. Because that's where we're asking this button to take us, to Choices. And we can tell that because the button is labeled Go to Choices. After you've named it B Choices and the type is button, click OK. Now, you'll notice that in your Actions palette it says B Choices. That's how we know that we're in the correct place. If your Actions palette does not say B Choices, then click on your button again and that'll make it pop up. Once you see the B Choices, double click on Go To, and up here at Scene, it's going to ask us, okay, where do you want this to go to? So we'll click on the drop down and we'll choose Choices because we want this Go to Choices button to take us to the Choices scene. So after you've clicked on Choices, let's go to the Choices layer and let's insert a stop action in the stop layer, just so that when we test it out, it won't keep going. We'll insert a keyframe on frame 10, and then we'll insert a stop action on frame 10 of the stop layer in the choices scene. So now let's test it out and make sure it works. It says this is my intro scene, go to choices. I click on go to choices and it says this is my choices scene. So it worked. Yay us.